Hey, welcome to the Tim and Gugabe podcast. This is your host, Tim. I'm going to talk about Gugabe first because Gugabe wasn't supposed to join because he had you had a daughter last Thursday, and you actually don't look any worse than you usually do. You look all right. Have you been getting? I don't mean you look like. I'm saying you look all right. Like I don't know. Have you been getting sleep?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Obviously, like most days, like she'll have like a hour-long tantrum at some point, but like sleep's been fine. Like 2 4s. Like, yeah, it's not perfect, but she's good. Yeah, she's sleeping right now in the corner. So yeah, if you can hear the weird buzzy thing, that's the magical machine. Yeah, it's been good.
Awesome. Well, all right. Well, I didn't know you were going to join, so I'm glad you showed up. Gombas jumped in case I didn't think he was going to join, but Gombas showed up anyway. Gombas, how are you doing? I haven't talked to you.
Well, good to be here.
Yeah. We'll briefly recap the previous card, then we'll kind of get into it. And while we're doing like a 3-man show on just like a random fight night of like Curtis and Allen. Man, yeah. Dude, everyone uses that like line and it's so funny. All right, man. Well, Blanchfield couldn't land takedowns. I mean, I don't really have much else to say. I did think it was dogger pass going in, but I kind of thought like if Blanchfield got her, maybe it would all depend on the cardio of Manon, like if it just held up or not, and it did. So I ended up like literally falling asleep in the third round, so I don't really know how 4 and 5 went. And I'm not joking. It was a little bit boring in my opinion, but what do you guys think?
I just think that match is always going to be binary. Just if a Blanchfield win probably means Blanchfield eventually gets on top and just outgasses a kind of a thing, whilst the Fiora win is just that. So it's just like, yeah, Fiora looked good. I think Fiora is the best flyweight in the world. After that in particular, like I think Grasso is fortunate more than she's really good, and I think if Shevchenko is, I think Shevchenko would be quite happy to give Fiora a sort of outside distance striking kind of thing. Like, yeah, good on Fiora. I think hopefully she gets the belt. Yeah, good for her.
Very physically strong. Gombas, you have anything to add, or do you want to talk about Luque randomly not being able to defend ground and pound against Buckley?
That card in general was just super weird. The main event was, my thought going into it was like the winner is going to hindsight look like a pretty big favorite, and it's just going to come down to whether or not Blanchfield could get takedowns, and she couldn't. So Fiora ended up looking like the favorite, and I was surprised that she was able to keep that pace for 5 rounds because even though she couldn't get takedowns, Blanchfield was forcing like a pretty insane pace. They both were throwing hundreds of strikes, and it was a solid showing from Fiora. But I picked Blanchfield, but I felt like the winner would be like hindsight minus 200, minus 300.
Yeah. The Buckley fight, like I picked Buckley to win, but that was bizarre. Like when Luque like went down on the mat, it was funny because like before it was just such passive ground and pound, and then all of a sudden it was kind of like, oh, he might finish him, but I feel like Luque's not. Like I feel like Luque could just like get up, but I was like, but he's also taking enough shots where the ref might stop in. Like it was like he like quietly accepted it, which was really weird because we've seen him scramble up against like Bilal Muhammad and others before. Did anyone else like think? I haven't been reading too many takes on Twitter, but I thought that was extremely bizarre the way he just like casually accepted a TKO.
I mean, Luque did get told after the Neil fight to like retire or die or something. Like, wasn't it like a really strong doctor's thing where it was just like, if you do not take significant time off, you are going to die in the ring or something? The thing that annoys me, or the thing that confuses / annoys me is like, I played RDA, ITD and all that against Luque because I saw the news and I was like, oh, maybe Luque is just done and is going to just die. Then, like, he comes out against RDA, has, like, a very random controlled grappling performance where he just does that, like, out of, like, debuts this entire new game plan out of nowhere. And then, like, even, like, here, it's like, I had some Buckley plus 130. For 6 minutes, it looked like Buckley was winning. Like, Buckley was landing a bit better, but he wasn't, like, sprinting away at the fight. Like, the whole time I was watching it, I was like, oh, Luque's about to land some singular big fucking hook or something and kill Buckley and, like, it's going to be a classic Buckley fight. How the Buckley fight. Like, it's going to be like Buckley Curtis or something, where it's just like, all right, Buckley's landing 20 strikes to his 10 strikes, but it's just going to fuck up one time and get his head removed. Then Luque pulls guard and retires on the spot. It was just like...
Yeah, it was weird.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, yeah, he's taken a lot of punishment. Eventually, eventually that does eventually break. But like, yeah, I think that was like a career accumulation. Like, he just reached like 10,000 strikes received or something, and just gone.
We'll just talk about a couple more here. Gombas, what did you think of the Weidman Silva fight? Like, from a betting perspective, it was obvious Weidman was value, and I think a lot of us kind of thought that. But like, as far as like the eye pokes and the they ended up making it a technical decision, which I think was correct. That or a DQ, I feel like is the only two things you can do there. What overall did you think about it?
I don't even know what to say. Like, that was just insane. Like, between that and the Dumas fight, like, eye poke directly to finish was just weird. Like, Weidman looked like the clear favorite, but just the way that went down was bizarre. I don't even know what you do there. I think he could have went. I honestly expected it to be a no contest. Like, when I watched it again, I was like, they put the replay up. I was like, oh, he eye poked him and then finished him. Like, you can't give him the win off that. And I mean, he deserved the win. He fought better. It's just a weird situation. Like, I don't even really know like what I would have like wanted to happen there.
From like a betting perspective, it's obvious Weidman was like value, but like honestly, it just if that was the first eye poke that happened in the fight and it ended, I think technical decision's the right call. But there was like 4, so it just kind of just like didn't sit well with me. That like in a weird way. Like I don't know. Like, but. He also was like, even before the eye poke, he was like winning the first eye poke. He was kind of winning the fight, but the way he said he like blamed Silva for like going down. I was like, that was maybe the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. What did you think of it?
I'm happy for Weidman. Again, I had Weidman like fairly big because I was just like, Silva could have knocked him out, but Silva is wildly inconsistent the best of times, and like Weidman is better everywhere, like just technically. Like, obviously the grappling gap was huge, but like people were acting like pre-fight like Silva was going to instantly kill him standing. It's like, Weidman can strike. Yeah, people forget why Chris Weidman is like the top 5 middleweight of all time. Chris Weidman is like the top 20 pound for pound of all time. Like, he was good. Like, people act like a stiff jab, gust of wind hits him and he's just dead. Like, I'm not saying this Chris Weidman is prime Chris Weidman, but like, Chris Weidman was like, he beat Leo Bushido in the striking 5-rounder. Like, Weidman could actually strike. He just has like a defensive issue. I mean, I think technical. Like I had Weidman. And I was like, when he went down, I was just like, all right, it's either a technical decision or it's a KO. Like, when it happens in round 3 like that, like they could have taken the point from Weidman, but he pretty clearly was up 2-0 and probably deserved the 3rd round at the time of the eye poke. So. Yeah, unless they're going to take 3 points from him, it's like, all right, technical decision. I mean, I agree it's iffy, but I felt Dumas was a lot more egregious.
I didn't watch that. It was like I saw him go down. What happened there?
He got eye poked. He called his own stoppage. He got eye poked. He called his own stoppage. Then Ruzabev just kept going and like landed number 3 big shots and just got the KO off it. Like, whilst Dumas was looking at the ref, kind of situation. Yeah, and like then they replay it and like it was a clear, like deep eye poke.
Speaking of like more controversy, I was on Algios. I don't know if like it's fair for me, but Nelson very well may have KO'd him, and I don't think it was the worst stoppage in the world, but I do think he was a tad early. Like, just the fact that he was like, Algio, it's intelligently defending yourself, and Algio was like, he was getting hit hard, like definitely. I mean, you can't deny that, but he was rolling with shots and swinging back like numerous times, and like he didn't like go down. I thought it was just a tad early. Like, it very well may have resulted in him just dying. But it's just funny because I really do feel like if Nelson doesn't get him out of there and Algio just like survives, I think Algio would have just poured it on him, So I was like, just like, I wasn't even, I don't know. Whenever it was initially happening, I'm like, oh, just survive and I'm good. But I do think it was a tad early. I don't know if that's just me because I bet Algio, but I tended to think it was a little bit early. It wasn't like the worst stoppage ever, but that's kind of what I thought. Gugabe, Gombas, how did you feel?
I thought it was like 20th, 30th percentile stoppage, or it was a bit early, but I don't think it was like people are acting like it was super egregious. And it's like Nelson did hurt him multiple times in the round. So again, like, I'm not saying this justifies a stoppage, but if it'd been like the single time Algio ever got hurt in that fight, and then that was kind of it, I would probably be a bit more annoyed. But like, Algio did get hurt more than once there. He turned his back at the very end, which refs don't like. And I just feel like a lot of it's based on like, Yeah, like just like immediately before he gets stopped, he just like kind of run. He's not like he doesn't like cover up, turn his back. But he definitely covers and turns his back in like the last half a second.
Okay.
And I feel like also it's just like people have this thing where it's like, oh, it's Bill Algeo, should let him go out in the Shield kind of a thing. It's like this is a professional organization. Like, come on, you can't just be like in 20 years there's going to be a CTE class action or something. You just can't just be like, oh, Bill Algeo told us he can't be killed. Like it's fine. Like we just let him die because. Yeah, you get what I mean. Like, I understand you've got to give some people more rope, but they can't say that. Like, they can't make that part of their refereeing. Like, there is a point. They have a duty of care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I had I had the under and Nelson Ko. Like, Nelson Ko went off like plus 3,000. Like, went off plus 2,800 over here, and I was like, why is it plus 2,800? Like, Nelson is going to land something. I'm not saying it was like. Yeah. Like Nelson can hit.
It's funny that Algeo still landed more strikes in the fight. Like, if you look at the fight metric, like I still think Algeo was like value in that fight. Like like Nelson just hit his win condition. Guys, what did you think of the stoppage?
I thought it was awful.
Yeah,
like there's a difference between being hurt and there's a difference between being finished. Like Algeo was absolutely hurt, but like he wasn't finished. He never got knocked down. He never stopped defending himself. And the thing that really, like, I feel like if I were explaining this to someone who, like, didn't watch the sport and understand the rules, he was reacting the exact same way in the beginning of when he was hurt and as, like, when they stopped it. He wasn't acting more hurt at the end of the flurry. Yeah. Like, that was just what he was doing the whole – like, all he had to do was get to the bell. I don't know. I thought it came early. Like, you can't stop that with no knockdowns. Like, he wasn't up against the cage, like, shelled up. It was – weird.
He was rolling with shots too. That like if you're rolling and swinging, he swung back numerous. Yeah. Like I just consider that intelligent defense. Like it was early. It could have resulted in something, but honestly, like I feel like Nelson was emptying the tank, and the shots could have just like come less and less. Like he might have just been like whatever, or he just couldn't like hit as hard. Like it could have resulted in the KO, but I honestly think he probably would have survived. Like I really do. But you don't know for sure. Like at all. He could have just gotten. Yeah,
I agree. Like I had some Algeo like rounds 2-3 kind of stuff because I was just assumed if Algeo got in this groove, he had a decent chance of pushing him. But I don't know. Like I think it was a little bit soft, but like people are acting like it's some like massive travesty, and I just don't really think that's fair. Like.
Yeah, it wasn't like the worst, but I still think it was early.
Like we've seen worse.
For sure. And Jokuani was not a fun fight. Landwehr is just an animal. Just like he just puts the pressure on people and makes them so uncomfortable. Like when his chin holds up, he's kind of a monster. Jandiroba, I liked Jandiroba in that fight. Like I was like really 50-50 on the fight, going back and forth on it all week. But she's underrated. Like she's just a good grappler. And she kind of just goes to her game plan all the time. But I thought she looked like the favorite in my opinion, especially Godinez is an overrated striker. Like she's got some pop in her hands, but she just like is always getting hit. And I don't know, like but it was a pretty competitive fight. But I thought Jandiroba definitely deserved the decision.
I got a little bit weird because like a lot of it was like Jandiroba recency bias in rounds 1 and 3. Like it was just like. I was surprised Jandiroba got round 1 unanimously because like it was like 4 minutes 30 of Godinez looking pretty good, then she gives up a back take for legitimately 30 seconds. Like, that's my thing. Like again, like Godinez is weird because I feel like Godinez has all the tools to beat anybody, but also just seems to just have some issue where she just never puts everything together. Like, it's like Godinez is weird because like she's got like 4 UFC losses now, and I'd probably like favor or coin flip each of those fights if like. Particularly if like if somebody managed to like make a fight like optimally, I think she could be. I think there's versions against Jandiroba where she just shuts her out kind of a thing, but she just makes poor decisions quite consistently.
Yeah. Gombas, have anything to say about Burns having the worst chin ever, or the Matthews fight against Bazookia, or the Aslan fight? Do you have anything to say? I don't really have much.
I felt like
funny.
I have nothing I had nothing to say about the first couple of fights. Like the RSA was what I expected. Matthews was like, I mean, good for Bazooka getting in the win column. But the Aslan fight was annoying for me because I bet on Turkali, and I thought like he looked like clear value. And then going to the third round, I was like, oh, it's going to the third round. It's 1-1. We got this. And then that happened. And I was like, shit, like, I can't believe that. And then I looked, and two judges had Aslan up 2-0. So in my head, I'm like, honestly, that was probably the better outcome than like me wanting to rip my head off after him losing a split decision. Like, there's just a weird fight. But I feel like the Pleasure Man would be like the favorite in a rerun. I thought he was looking like,
yeah.
I thought he was going to win like pretty clearly.
I mean, my view watching that was like, all right, the striking is a lot more competitive than people thought it was going to be. Like, Tokali was pretty much like 50-50 minutes, and yeah, he didn't manage to hit a takedown, but like, it is not like if Tokali hits a takedown, he immediately becomes like minus 500. So like in a pure kickboxing fight, he looked like plus 150, and like whatever his chance, like people are acting like Ebo could not be taken down. It's like he just slips once, and like Tokali suddenly goes from plus 150 in kickboxing to like minus 5 billion in grappling. So like, yeah, I agree. Like, I think Tokali was, you got to make him a decent favorite.
Yeah. Malkoon was looking good until the weird finish. Like, he was winning the fight, though.
That was another outrageous scorecard. I can't believe
he dropped round one.
Judges gave Petrosky.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Malkoon would have just run away with it, though. Like, the cardio is starting to, like, shift a little bit. And then Loughran just kind of out-wrestled Pacheco. I don't have much else to say about that. But let's move on to Alan Curtis, too. Is this at the Apex? I'm guessing. Yeah, it is. Gombas, what do you think of the main event?
Yeah, so it was funny. Not funny then, but funny now. The first time they fought, I thought like Brendan Allen was going to – I used to think Chris Curtis like wasn't good at fighting. And like he's not elite or anything, but he's just one of those like solid guys who is just like a good mid-tier kind of fighter who's gonna like beat the guys he's supposed to beat and lose to the elite. But at the time I was like, oh, Brendan Allen's got huge grappling upside. Chris Curtis is small, whatever. And this time around, like I think Curtis is gonna win again. It's a close fight, but I don't really see much that's changed from the first time. Like I guess the bullish case for Allen is that, I don't know, Curtis has gotten a little older. But if you look at Allen's strength of schedule since the last time they fought, it's like Sam Alvey, Paul Craig, Bruno Silva. Like he's fought guys for the most part that just aren't very good. And Curtis, I still think presents some of the same problems that he presented the first time. Allen clearly couldn't grapple him the first time. I don't see that changing. And on the feet, like it's just a close fight. And over 5 rounds, I feel like Curtis is one of those guys who could go all day. And, he likes to work the body. Both the guys try to go to the body, but it seemed like Curtis was more effective with the body shots the last time. So I see him getting it done again.
Gugabe?
Yeah, I think I'm essentially expecting a rerun of the first fight. Like Curtis's bottom game always Curtis's takedown defense has been pretty good in the UFC, but like I think Allen never ended up on top of him. It would be an issue, but like most likely Curtis stays up, and then it's just going to be a striking match where Curtis hits harder and has better durability. If Allen like went for takedowns, managed to get one, I think I can't really see how Allen looks like a favorite about hitting takedowns. It just feels like Chris Curtis is just gonna. Yeah, he's got way more margin for error standing because he's a better traditional fighter. He hits harder and he has better durability. Like Allen's kind of like C- chin, and Curtis has like an A+ chin. So like, 5 rounds. He's gonna fuck up once.
I should have had Magic come in. I didn't even think about it, but I agree. Like I think I picked Curtis straight. I mean, he's still not great. So like Allen has ways to win this fight. Allen could hurt him. Maybe he gets some grappling going, because I think Imavov out wrestling Curtis kind of surprised me a little bit. But like overall, like Allen's fought no strikers since that first fight, and like I just feel like Curtis defends takedowns at 92%. We're probably going to get a striking fight. Why is Allen minus 192? That's kind of the way I see it. Like on the feet, I probably mildly favor Curtis.
Yeah.
So yeah, like better durability, hits harder, more technical probably. enough stuff could happen for Allen to win, but I just don't. And I don't like Chris Curtis either. I'm honestly cheering against him from like a personal perspective, but like from a betting perspective, I think it's dog or pass clearly.
Oh, Curtis is weird because like his regional takedown defense was kind of shit. Then he just he used to have an issue. Like he got controlled by what's his name? PFL guy, beat Matthews, won the $1 million against our Allen guy.
Like
he's now 300 pounds.
I forget.
Ray, what's his name? Ray Cooper.
Oh yeah.
Like Ray Cooper kind of hossed him around. Karamov kind of hossed him around. Like his takedown defense was like one of his like major liabilities regionally, and like he's come to the UFC and just been like spectacular at it. I do think if Allen gets on top of him, it's an issue. But you know, Curtis has had a very functional takedown defense these days. Like he just seems to have it now, and yeah, I think the whole like Allen bull case, he needs to be hitting takedowns to justify minus 200.
And even if he could, which he may try and not, I think he went 0 for 4 the first time. He may not try to shoot takedowns. Yeah. Like he might just strike. He only attempts, 2 to 3 takedowns per 15, which isn't a lot. So, yeah. I think we're all on the same page. It's like Curtis is still like not a great fighter, so he can find ways to lose. Like he has some stuff, he's not like great anywhere, but yeah, I honestly I think the line's clearly off. Alexander Hernandez and Damon Jackson, man, we really need magic in here. Gugabe, I'll throw this over to you. What do you think?
I think like Alex Hernandez should win, but like I think minus 200 is the exact limit of how far you can trust Alexander Hernandez to do anything in life. Like Damon Jackson's tough as fuck. It seems to be all aging out. Hernandez probably lands a bunch on him, but yeah, minus 200 Hernandez just seems fine to me.
Yeah, Gombas, what do you think?
Pretty much the exact same here. Athleticism, that should be strong enough to make the difference.
Yeah. I'm always good on Hernandez fights, and I picked him here. So I think I got like 8 straight Hernandez fights right, whether I picked him to win or lose. So I think he'll get it. Jackson also has just kind of looked bad in his last couple fights. Like there was a few fights where I thought he looked quite good, and I thought he could give Ige issues, and he just looked petrified in that fight. Like there was a couple performances Jackson had that I was like pretty impressed by, and I just thought versus like even Billy Q, I don't think he looked that good, and I thought he looked really hesitant against Ige. And I generally think Hernandez can sprawl and brawl here. If Hernandez gets tired though, and Jackson lands a takedown late, like a sub round 3, I do think could happen here. But
Jackson's cardio is a little suspect too, though.
True. And Hernandez, his cardio has looked a little better lately. Even it's like Algio in round 3, he was kind of like pushing a higher pace against Jim Miller. I think it looked a little better too. Because other times he just kind of like looked like he was slowing down so bad. But I feel like his cardio looked a little better. But I ultimately think he should get it done here. The Alexander Hernandez, like some of his fans are funny, man. Morgan, how do you say his name? Jose Mariscal and Morgan Charrier?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Gombas, what do you think here?
This is a weird one. I was actually looking forward to hearing you guys' takes on this because I feel like I'm picking Charrier, but there's something about him that just makes me a little bit hesitant. Like I think skill-wise he's better, but also like Chepe is just enough of a dog where I feel like he's going to make a lot of fights against the like lower mid-tier, pretty 50-50, like whether he's a little bit better or a little bit worse. Like I feel like a lot of his fights are just going to be competitive. But yeah, I do think Charrier is a little bit better, so I'm going to pick him, but it's definitely one of my not one of my stronger opinions on the card.
Gugabe, what do you think here?
Pretty much the same thing as Gombas. Like I think Charrier is a better athlete, more skilled. I just don't think he separates enough. He just doesn't have a game which is built to really family. It's a guy. It's a sort of, he's not a Bobby Graham. He's just like one of these sort of, he's like a neutralizing karate kind of a guy. Like he just doesn't put a huge volume up against a guy who's like super tough and super go forwardy. And then just like, I think Charrier should win, but I have no real interest in the price. Maybe Mystical Live or something. Like I'd rather live bet and see how it goes. Like it wouldn't shock me if Charrier just owned him in round 1 or something. Like he could just annihilate him like his UFC debut guy. But like I just feel like minute wise, it's hard to fade a guy like Mariscal with a guy who doesn't want to fight, who just doesn't like separating that much.
Yeah. I need to tape that one still. Like I know both guys, but I can't give like too much of a take because I haven't taped. But Baja Mondays and Giagos, I mean, I feel like we're all gonna have the same analysis here. Like Giagos will probably be winning for the first 4 to 6 minutes, and then he'll probably fall off a cliff and then get tired and get finished or something. I will say Baja Mondays like bottom game and who was it against? Klein looked pretty bad, and Giagos is a decent grappler, so maybe he can have success early. But like, it's just hard to trust Giagos after a round. Like, yeah, I mean that's really all there is to say about it. Like, I feel like there's no reason to play Baja Mondays pre though, because it's probably going to be competitive early. But yeah, I feel like Giagos Zellhuber was like a similar fight, and I feel like this is probably going to be the same thing. Gombas, do you have anything to add, or do you pretty much agree?
I actually think the line's wide. Like everything you said is true, but I also kind of noticed when Bahamondes was fighting Klein. Typically, Bahamondes is one of those guys who's like a high volume kickboxer that could do it for 3 rounds. I felt like when he was forced to grapple, though, he didn't look to have that like same cardio when he was forced to grapple as like a striking fight. So it wouldn't surprise me if he got tired also. And just like Giagos has such upside early that I feel like it's hard to get to this price in a 3-round fight because he could land early. Like he landed early in his last fight, and I rate his last opponent a little bit better than Bahamondes. And just the fact that Klein was able to get multiple takedowns and hold him there, like I recognize that there's definitely holes in Giagos' game, but like at a big price like this, I think it's worth a play.
Gugabe.
Yeah, Bahamondes probably wins like round 2, round 3 just by being super pacey, but has no defense in any phase. Like he's very hittable and he's very bad at grappling. Giagos pre into live betting Bahamondes after round 1 is just obvious. Like I'd much rather wait. If I wanted Bahamondes, I'd much rather just wait like 5 minutes and get him at evens rather than taking him pre. And like I feel like Bahamondes grappling is so bad it's possible for Giagos doesn't like super gas or can just like either Bahamondes loads a bit or Giagos can just hit 2 takedowns instead of 1 kind of situation. Like I think Bahamondes is like awful at grappling, but like he's his sheer physicality is like ridiculous though, so you could still win that way. Like his pace cardio and pace standing is he's huge and he just throws a billion strikes, which wins fights. But I think gotta take a flyer on Giagos, whether it's around 1 prop or just money line into a edge off.
I do think Giagos could hurt him early too. Giagos has like sneaky little power early, and Bahamondes like has been dropped or hurt multiple times in the UFC, so that could happen. But I ultimately agree. Like I think I'm just gonna wait after a round and like hope Giagos is like dominating, and then kind of see how the fight's going. Okay, Gugabe, I'm gonna throw this heavyweight fight for you. I just feel like this is like a perfect fight that you've been waiting for. I taped it. Walter Walker and Lucas Brzezinski. What do you think about this debuting Brazilian meme heavyweight and Walter Walker? He's a pretty big guy.
I think he's not that meme, but he's not his brother. Like he's not good, but he's not. I think people are assuming he's gonna be like Johnny Walker number 2, and it's like he's like a wrestler. Like not very good wrestler, but he's huge. He's athletic. He just picks people up and lays on them. I think the over and GDD are fucking ridiculous prices. Unless Walker's just going to explode him in round 1 or just get an instant sub, I just feel like the over. Like I don't like Walter slows down. Walter will be on less gear than he was on. Brzezinski is like, Brez doesn't really do anything well, but like he exists with people pretty well. I think Brzezinski and Walker or Brzezinski and the over are both big prices.
Gumbas, what do you think?
Go distance, plus 200, crazy.
Yeah, I could see that because also he doesn't seem like a major like submission threat, and he doesn't always pass guard. So I could see it like playing out. And Brzezinski does work up decently, like he did against Williams. So I could see that like getting this guy issues. But what Gombas did you tape Walker, and how do you feel about the fight?
I have to tape it still.
Walker's essentially like a come forward, and he kind of has a little bit of inside boxing early. He kind of slows down, but he has a good double leg. But that's kind of like it. But I feel like he's gonna land him here. But Brzezinski might work up and like tire him out. And if it becomes striking, it could get a little shaky. He's huge though. It's Johnny Walker. He's like 6'6". Like he's a massive man, like an 81-inch reach, I think. Like he's a big boy. But
Gugabe, how tall are you?
I'm like 6'3". I'm not that big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Walker's got a little bigger than you, I'd say. But you're big though.
Yeah.
I've seen you in person. All right. I want to talk about this fight. GDR and Norma Dumont. It's just like GDR, she's older now, and she just had a kid, right? So she's been out for a while, but like she could she's such a good striker that her dog money is kind of insane. But it's all about her form. Like it's guessing, and Dumont's good, like a good fighter. Like I think we all can agree. Like she's turned into a good fighter, but if you look at who she's outstriking, Ashley Evans Smith, Felicia Spencer, Aspen Ladd, Danielle Wolfe, Chelsea Chandler, like none of them can strike. And then Carol Rosa, which is a little closer. Like the only person who she's like fought that's a striker, or at least Megan Anderson, who knocked her out. And like GDR could easily knock her out. Like GDR hits like a dude. It's all going to depend on her form, but like this very well may stay standing. And I don't know. Like I picked GDR, but like she could show up looking horrible, but she just like has the genetics to where I feel like even if she slows down, or even if she's like not what she was, she'll still probably be more physical, hit harder, and everything. Like I don't know. Like this is a really interesting one because it's all like guessing on form here. But even if she's like 70% of herself, she might beat her. Like I don't know. I think this is interesting. What do you think, Gombas?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. Like you said, there's some major unknowns. To me, it kind of like comes down to two things: GDR's form, and also I think it's a big question mark, like how much Dumont's going to push the takedowns, because I think she should. But she's not really reliable to do it. Like I remember she was fighting Wolf, who's like just a pure kickboxer, and it took her like a while to start shooting takedowns. And when she did, it looked easy. Like even in her last fight, I think she controlled Chelsea Chandler for like almost 10 minutes. And obviously GDR is a good striker, but there were, and I assume are still, some holes in her grappling game. Like she got that guillotine against Pena, but that was kind of like a random outcome, I think. So I think Dumont has all the grappling upside here, but on the feet, like if GDR looks anything like she used to, like she should light her up. So yeah, it's an interesting fight for me. It's not a confident take. Like I'm probably just gonna wait to see how they look and see if there's any live angle.
GDR is hard to take down though. Like generally, like the only people who've got her down, Amanda Nunes is like a way better like double leg like takedown artist than Dumont, and I feel like Dumont. And also, like, Juliana Pena is way more, like, tenacious with it. Like, she was the only other one to really get her down. And even she struggled at times. Like, I kind of think they're going to strike. Because I think Dumont doesn't push it enough, and she may not even be able to get it. And I just feel like plus 145 and probably a striking fight of GDR. GDR could just dominate her. Like, she might just, like, fucking destroy her. It's, like, really, really interesting. Gugabe, what do you think?
I've always disliked Dumont. I just feel like her striking was very overrated because she never separates. I get the angle on GDR, but the age, and I just feel like if a takedown's going to happen, it's probably going to be Dumont on top, which just kind of concerns me a bit because GDR is kind of mid off her back, and Dumont hits one takedown. I expect GDR to win the striking, but it's just like the age and like I could see how pure striking match I'd take GDR, but like the age and the sort of lack of volume give me a bit of a pause. And I just feel like Dumont having all the like grappling, all the top control upside just gives me a bit like I don't think Dumont's a good wrestler by any means, but if she hits one or something, it just means that like she's probably won that round. Like yeah, gun to my head, I'd take GDR, but like I'm happy to pass at this price personally. Like if I knew this was prime GDR, I'd be all over it. But like, just it's not big enough. It's not big enough to take a shot for me. Or like. And it's like women, so it's like unless GDR just flatlines her instantly, it's just like we can probably get in after a round or something after you've seen the dynamic.
Yeah,
like, there's no rush to.
I don't know. I just really respect GDR as a striker. Like she hits so hard and she's so good defensively. Defense strikes at 65%. Again, she's 40 now, but like kind of like what Magic said, what I was alluding to earlier. Even if she like loses a spring, like she still is so much more like athletic and physical than like everyone anyway. It's like, what does it even matter? Like, I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know. I just have a feeling they're gonna strike and GDR could just like dominate. But is there any other fight you guys want to talk about? I think mostly we got through everything. What do you think about it?
I think the undercard's pretty decent here. McGee Morono, as far as the price is so wide on McGee. Like, yeah, again, I know McGee's been knocked out a bit lately, but I didn't really think he looked like egregious in either of them. Like, he got knocked out by one dude who just hit stupid hard, and then, you know, I felt like he looked fine against Brown. He got clipped, but like before he died, he looked like he was just doing Court McGee things to me, in my opinion. And yeah, if he just hits 2 takedowns on Morono, he's won the fight. Like,
he just gets hurt so much. That's the issue. It's like his durability. It's like if his durability shows up, then.
If it doesn't, I'm happy at minus 300. Like, yeah, if this was like evens, I'd probably be like talking myself into McGee. Like, yeah, I just feel like, yeah, McGee, like, worst case scenario, you know, even if he just hits the takedown in round 1, he becomes like evens instantly. So, like, unless you think Morono is just going to kill him like every time he gets open space, I just don't see how you arrive at the number. Like, I love Morono, he's a good guy, but yeah.
Gombas, you have anything about the Peak fight? Is Campbell just going to bang with him?
Yeah, Campbell, I think he's a pretty good striker in the sense that, you know, he's reliable to throw leg kicks. He's pretty sharp with his shots. I actually think that Peak has the grappling upside here, which probably sounds a little crazy, but on the feet, I definitely wouldn't want to. It's tough because Campbell, let me rephrase this. Campbell is more technical than Peak, but Peak also just kind of throws so wild and they might get like caught up in an exchange where I wouldn't want to be playing Campbell minus 200. Yeah, I didn't expect to be saying this, but I think it's Peak or pass. I'm leaning towards pass because I just don't trust him to grapple. But I do think, you know, eventually someone's probably going to grapple Campbell.
There's a lot of live dogs on this card. Yeah. Like the more I'm like looking, yeah.
There's one that we haven't mentioned yet that's the livest dog on the card.
Yeah. You want to say it? I think I know who you're talking about.
Well, there's 2 actually. I was going to say Calvillo, but Argueta also.
Both of them, especially Argueta. Like I think Argueta's going to run him over.
Yeah, same.
I think he's going to run Massimento over. Like Argueta, and I didn't have any opinions pre-tape, and I just taped it, and I think he's clearly a better wrestler, and this is like recency bias 101. Like he just had a very tough matchup in Miles Johns, who's really hard to grapple, and he neutralizes and moves side to side a lot. Now he has a guy who jumps guillotines and can't wrestle very well, and Argueta is the best wrestler he's faced. So I think and Argueta sub plus 600 is insane. But yeah, like I think Argueta is just going to run him over and out wrestle him, and he pushes a crazy pace. I've seen this guy slow down later in fights with grappling, and yeah, like I don't know, like it seems kind of like obvious to me. Like Argueta can get hit and whatnot, and he's not the most technical striker, but I just feel like he's going to be landing takedowns, and he's a better wrestler. You think so as well, Gugabe?
Yeah, like I got like 3 minutes into taping Matsumoto, and he jumped a guillotine on some Brazilian guy, and I was like, oh, all right. Like that was pretty much like my entire take. It was just like I don't think Matsumoto's a bad prospect. Like I think he's a solid like young striking guy. He's a decent athlete. Like I think there's a lot to like about Matsumoto. I just feel like Argueta is just going to hit takedowns here. Like it is possible that Argueta just looks like a minus 500. Like yeah, Argueta. Like even like the TNC fight. Like you watched the Tanner fight, and I felt like if Tanner just proactively grappled more, he would have won it pretty comfortably. Like when he started doing it, he started winning pretty well. But he just didn't do it till the end of the fight because he's an idiot. Well, like Argueta is like, Argueta and Tanner are both idiots, but like Tanner is an uncertain idiot. Argueta is a certain idiot because Argueta just knows he's pressing the takedown button. Well, like Tanner could just, Tanner was like, oh, I'm gonna strike a bit. I'm gonna try to get knocked down, try to get a contract. I'm smart. But I was just like, Argueta is just gonna run screaming and go for takedowns, and like that's gonna probably win this fight.
Argueta's a better wrestler than I think people realize too, and I think that's why people got the Ronnie Lawrence fight wrong because Lawrence was a favorite in that. But like, if you look, Damon Jackson, he was up a weight class, like good wrestler, a guy you're not going to really like easily out wrestle, and then Miles Johns, very good wrestler, you're not going to really do it there. He easily out wrestled Lawrence though, and Aguirre, and he has against other guys too, and like Nascimento is arguably the worst wrestler he's faced in the UFC, and I just feel like. And he gets stuck up against the cage or in the apex. I feel like Argueta's just going to run him up against the cage and just start landing takedowns. And it's just, he can get the back. Massimento can work up a little bit, but I just feel, and he jumps guillotines. Like, I just feel like Argueta's going to run him over. I could be wrong. Like maybe Massimento just like ends up being better than I think. Maybe his like striking ends up just kind of taking over, but it just seems. I feel like Argueta is a better wrestler than people realize. And now he's going up against a debuting fighter who has struggled on the regionals of wrestling. It just seems obvious to me. And it's dog money. Like if Argueta's minus 150, I'd be like, whatever, you know? Gombas, did you have similar thoughts or?
Yeah, I think Argueta's the side, but I probably have a few more concerns about him than you guys do. Like he also does the jumping guillotine thing, which annoys the hell out of me.
Against Johns.
Yeah, and I bet John's in that fight, but like to your point, this is a much different matchup. Like, I just don't really see how you could lay like minus 170 or whatever on against the guy who like has actual UFC fights and has actually shown that he has grappling upside. But yeah, I think Argueta's the side. I think Calvillo's the side. I'm more confident in Calvillo than Argueta just because I feel like we literally just saw Pierre Rodriguez get absolutely dumpstered in the grappling by Julian Robertson. And also, like, I was saying this to you. I was saying this to both of you guys this week. But, like, if Calvillo gets 3 takedowns here, I think she looks like a big favorite. If she gets 2 takedowns, I think she looks like a medium favorite. If she gets 1 takedown, I think she looks like a slight favorite. And if they just strike, like, the price is probably about right. But Calvillo just fought Godinez in her last fight, who's, like, actually good. Went through a split decision, like could have got it and outlanded her at distance. So I don't know if it's the market overrating Rodriguez or like obviously Calvillo's lost a bunch of fights in a row, but I also feel like some of the best spots.
Multiple of them too.
Yeah, exactly. Like she could have won the Benitez fight. She could have won the Ansarov fight. There's no shame in like some of the like she lost to Chukagian, who's good. She lost to Andrade, who's good. I just don't think Rodriguez's grappling is any good, and I think that. The line should probably be flipped, if not even more so.
Yeah. I want to tape that a little more, but I have the same exact thoughts, like pre-tape. The Argueta fight, I just feel like the sub line at plus 600 for Argueta is insane. Like I think we all think he goes for him, and I think we all think. I mean, dude, this guy was like subbing Ronnie Lawrence, you know, like, and he's gonna land takedowns. Like I think it's favored. It's favored to like play out for a little bit too. So he's gonna land takedowns. So he'll probably be in top position. And Nascimento, I know he's 14-0. He got subbed like in the amateurs. He's fought, and now he's fighting the best grappler he's had. Like I don't know. I just feel like that is crazy. Plus 600. Yeah. But anyway, I think we pretty much went over a lot. So I'm going to end it a little early because I don't like these running too long. But Gombas, thank you for joining. And sorry, I didn't even realize Gugabe was going to join. But I'm glad we're all here. But Gugabe, congrats on the baby. and hopefully I see you next week.
Yeah, so it goes. Yeah, so we're going pretty well.
It's just so casual about everything. All right. Well, we'll end it with that. That's a good way to end. I'll talk to you guys later. See you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.